Right. Oh, okay, cool. I think it's live. Okay. Hey everyone, it's your boy, Seafoam Soldier. What? And today I've got a special guest, someone new to the channel. He's been in the chat, but he hasn't featured on camera yet. It is.
It's Bob. Apparently, I've just been lurking in the background for all this time, and now I'm appearing through the magic of television or computers or some kind of thing. I'm here. Hello.
Some sort of medium. Welcome, Bob. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
So, right, a little bit backstory. Okay, first off, I've got a cold, so my throat's not great, and my voice may fail at some point, but hopefully we'll get through the episode. But yeah, I've been fully obsessed with Dragula season 2. I had a revelation the other day. In fact, I think this season is better than season 9 for me. I'm enjoying Dragula season 2 more than season 9. What are you thinking of it so far?
I totally agree. In the sense that I think I found season 9 a bit like, okay, like there are some good moments, but okay, I'm kind of, the format is kind of quite used up. And I was really worried before season 2 of Dragula started because I was terrified that we would be subjected to that kind of those same weird kind of technical weirdnesses of, you can basically hear the fridge in the background and like everyone sounds like they're talking through like 14 layers of echoes. So I mean, it's really good. It's grown in like a really beautiful way, and I'm proud of it. Not like I've done anything to make that happen, but
I think it's mainly thanks to you. It's doing so well.
I mean, yeah, obviously, but you've got to be a bit modest these days.
Yeah, no, fair. That's why I've always respected you. No, sorry, what were you saying?
No, absolutely. I think it's kind of started to actually realize its potential as a show, because the first season was so kind of out there, but was really held back, I feel, by those kind of glitches and that kind of, whereas they've now got the budget to be able to play more rough and ready, or more kind of 80s camp, or more kind of dodgy if they want to, because they've now got the kind of budget to be able to make something look cheap, whereas before they kind of couldn't make anything look expensive.
I wonder, looking back, whether they filmed the whole first season all together and then realized like, oh shit, this is terrible in terms of quality, and then it's sort of too late to do anything about it. Because again, I don't see how they could let like the sound issues continue for as long as it did in the first season. Seems like an easy thing to fix.
You'd have thought so. I would have thought, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I never thought about it that way, but I think that must be it, because how could you film that first episode and go, yeah, it's all right, it's looking pretty good?
Yeah, no, exactly. And also tying it back to this current episode of season 2, I thought it was interesting how James was talking about how she's going to be portrayed as a bitch this season. So, because I've always wondered like how close the episodes air to when they're filmed. Like, I'm guessing an episode's not filmed every week and it's not done live, but I sort of assume maybe like the first 3 or 4 episodes have been recorded and then they were released and then they start recording more. But I guess not, if James is talking about how she's going to be portrayed.
Yeah, I mean, because a few of the queens have mentioned, like, oh, I didn't spend 2 days rhinestoning this dress for nothing. And actually, it's kind of interesting to have that kind of the curtain peeled back a little bit, and to get actually, okay, so the time between episodes isn't like with RuPaul's Drag Race, where it's pretty much filmed day after day, there's very little break in between. You get the impression that they've kind of been left to their own devices for a week, and they're like, okay, cool, come back, let's film another episode. Because they kind of, the things they talk about doing, they're like, oh yeah, I was at this party, oh yeah, I did this, and you're like, oh, you probably couldn't do that if you were locked away in a hotel. There must be some element which they're, yeah,
it seems a lot more chill, doesn't it, generally?
I think so.
Which is different, obviously very different to Drag Race. But yeah, no, I think the season's been great. It's like awesome the whole way through. I think so. Like, if you guys like this video, then I'm thinking maybe going back and doing. And obviously, you're welcome to get involved, Bob. Going back and doing reviews or discussions for every single episode, because I definitely think it's worth it. Because I think there's a lot to say about the different episodes. I think there's a lot happens in each one as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite interesting to see like how they have kind of stepped that up, because I felt like in some of the, like in season 1, I mean, a lot was happening, but there was also, I don't know, so much was kind of a bit kind of held back. It was still finding its feet, and so now it's really interesting that actually there's quite a lot to talk about in each episode. Like the looks themselves are a whole kind of thing to talk about, but then like these challenges and the exterminations and the kind of weird conversations that they end up having between themselves. I've got a lot of points to say about James on that coming up later, but
so
I'm intrigued to see the other thing.
Yeah, that's something people should know, I guess, because Bob and I chat the whole time about drag stuff, especially when Drag Race is on, and we tend to have, I think, very similar views most of the time.
Mostly, yeah. I
Yeah,
think
so
there
I'm interested to see if our views correlate this time,
perhaps we shall
because we
see.
haven't talked about Dracula. We haven't talked about the season of Dracula much at all, have we? So, because I sort of
No.
binge watched it, I think. So I sort of started a couple episodes in.
Mhm.
But yeah, so should we go through this episode?
Yes, why not?
Cool. You've been taking points. You sort of you did the old seafoam method and took points as you watched it, didn't you?
I did make a couple of little notes. Most of them just involve like capital letters and just kind of like. So I mean, one of the first things I wrote was just basically James really needs to shut up. But that's been a recurring note if for like the last few.
I wrote that later on.
Right.
Because I got to a point, like I've sort of been like okay-ish with what James has been saying a lot of the times. I do feel like I don't know if we're getting onto this too soon. I do feel like horror was a total nightmare for a lot of the season. So I sort of like felt like a lot of it was justified. And I was sort of okay with it, but it definitely reached a point for this episode where I'm like, right, you need to definitely shut up now. He's gone on too much. But then I was wondering as well if the producers sort of keep asking her about it, maybe, because I'd just be surprised if she talks about it that much.
Yeah, you do kind of wonder because, like, I mean, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think there has to be some kind of involvement from elsewhere, because otherwise it wouldn't be like, oh, the camera's on. I know, I'm just gonna like throw someone else under the bus, because right now that's a bus with a lot of people underneath it, and like I feel like James just keeps on going with that. But I think, yeah, I mean, it's one of those weird things. I don't know. Is this getting onto it too soon? My thoughts on James, but I don't know.
No, let's do it now. I think it's the
Okay.
main thing to talk about this episode in terms of drama. So
Okay, super. Well, okay. So my feelings about James for a few weeks have been kind of up and down. I mean, I have like so much respect for him, her as a queen. I have so much respect for James. I just think like the looks are incredible. Like there's a real sense of performance behind everything James does, and it's incredible. But at the same time, just like what I found really funny was that like, James, the kind of like typical James conversation would be like, Abora or someone else, you're being really negative. Now let me talk for 10 minutes about how negative you are. It's like, I kind of feel like this person did one thing that's negative and now you're kind of going, you're spending 10 or 15 minutes just being negative. I feel it was a bit of like a...
I mean, I agree with that to an extent, but I suppose at the same time, the other thing is we aren't now, they're not being filmed 24/7, right?
True.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been, yeah, I mean, again, I suppose it's like I'm watching All Stars 2 again. And I sort of feel like Fifi had a valid point in terms of in regards to Alyssa, and she's like she's fun for like she's like hilarious for a few minutes on camera, but if you're with her every day non-stop, like I want to kill her.
Yeah.
And like to be fair, like I think I'd love it personally, but I get where Fifi's coming from. So I mean, I think it's difficult to connect with that as a viewer, only seeing like 40 minutes of a week or whatever. And I know not spending all that time together, but you know, however much time to spend together, we only see a few minutes of it. So. And they're all saying the same thing as well. So I'm inclined to believe that she is like a negative Nancy generally.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. As soon as everyone else was saying it, I was like, oh, okay, it's not just James kind of doing what James
No,
does.
but
I mean,
I agree with what you're saying in that like he's just generating more negativity in what he's doing. And also like, I don't like the way he says it. Like he really is saying it from a pedestal, it seems.
Yeah.
Like it's not as a conversation or a discussion in any way, is it?
No. I think that's exactly it. It's kind of like James has deigned to come down from his lofty throne and tell you just how wrong you are and remind you that you are a terrible person. But it's fine because James can give you that advice because James is not threatened by you and James is above you. But at the same time, I mean, as much as I'm kind of laying into James a bit here, like James is incredible. Like there's a reason James is in the top 4. There's a reason James is probably a good runner for the top. Like because she turns out like the one time James has been in the bottom was when she forgot to bring a fan. Like that's literally it. Like every other time James would be safe or top or.
So I was saying that look was incredible.
That was. Oh my god, yeah, all of them. Like the sexy Cenobite. I was just like, I don't really know what's happening, but it's kind of it works. It's so kind of androgynous and it's so kind of sexy sci-fi alien weird thing, and it could totally works. It's like a complete package. I think that's it. Like James is always like this whole entire package of it's thought about, it's constructed.
It's a fully realized concept every single time, and flawlessly executed as well, which is what a lot of the queens can't do. They have great concepts, but they don't execute them as flawlessly as James does.
Yeah. I think that was actually someone like Kendra way back a few weeks ago. I think it was kind of like Kendra's undoing, because I feel like Kendra was someone who had quite interesting concepts at times, and then the execution was just a bit.
See, I don't know. None of her concepts particularly excited me, especially her glam rock one. I thought was terrible, and it's sort of at that point, it's like, you deserve to go.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Actually, that glam rock one was pretty bad.
I can't think of any like standouts from her. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like most of the queens have at least one standout look.
Yeah, it's a shame. Oh well,
Yes.
But no, I think I think that's the thing. Like, although, I mean, I did find it funny that you still ended up having this kind of redemption style episode. This time, just to have the whole, oh, I'm so glad we're all sisters now. And what's also kind of funny is obviously all those talking head parts are shot all at the same time, right? Where they kind of, so the bit
I think in Drag Race they've done like on 2 or 3 separate occasions, but they made to wear the same outfits as they did previous times. I think so. I'm not 100% on that though.
Okay, that probably would make sense. Because I think I read somewhere that like there's one point where you can see that Valentina's like hairstyle like subtly changes between the two, or her eyebrows or something. I can't remember. Anyway, but no, but that's what I found really interesting about James. This whole kind of like, we're all sisters now. It's like, okay, but I mean, in your talking head that you also probably filmed at the same time as you're doing this one, you're also like, she needs to go. She's a fucking bitch. And you're like, okay, so
yeah, I know what you're saying. Oh, hey Hayden, you're right. Thanks for joining us. Also, if our mics are like weird volumes or anything, let us know, please, because we haven't retested this properly. So can you see the chat, Bob?
No, I cannot.
Okay. I'll relay. Like, no one's really watching at the moment, so it's like a last minute thing. So I'll relay if anything happens, I'll relay it to you.
Thank you.
But what I was going to say, but what I understand what you're saying. I do agree with you, but at the same time, to me, it does feel like James is genuine in that, like, she really does want to form strong connections with people, and to do that, she, in her head, she needs to work past the negative aspects of the people. So, for example, she has these issues in her head with Bora, whether they were right or wrong, or to the extent that she had them in her head, she needed to get past them to like truly, love, or whatever word you want to use, Bora. And I thought, like, to me, like, an aspect of that is really genuine.
Yeah, I think so. Weirdly, my landlady is like this, but I think there's I feel like
like impressed you the whole time, like beating you down when you walk through the door.
Well, not as intensely as that, but like I feel like there's I'll stop talking about my landlady, but like
it's what people
I feel like
here for.
It's great. Everyone needs to know about my landlady. She's great. But no, I think that kind of similar style thing of like, actually, I see that a lot with James. That kind of, that I totally agree that he almost needs to push through that negative, because he needs to almost be like, almost, okay, I'm up here, and it's partly because of where I think James thinks he is, and it's great that he has that much confidence. But like, people, that wasn't a read. It sounded like one. But it's great he has that much confidence, despite no. No, so I think because like, James sees himself as up here, like he kind of needs to be like, okay, I see you as like on an equal footing. Now I can kind of respect you as a sister a bit more.
Yeah,
I think that's why that negative needs to be pushed past, because I just think he has high standards, and I don't think there's necessarily that much wrong with that.
Well, I always think like I always struggle with the line, hopefully not myself too much, but a line between confidence and arrogance, because they are extremely similar, and I really respect people who have a lot of confidence and wholeheartedly believe in themselves. I feel like to have that, especially to go into a competition where you're intending to win and have that level of confidence, you're going to be arrogant at the same time.
Yeah. I think Katia said it about being on Drag Race herself. She was just saying, you have to go in with such a delusional level of self-confidence to be able to even really process what's happening, and to even, because, you're around people who are insanely talented, and just to be able to feel like you belong in the same room as them, you need to have this delusional level of thinking you're great. And I think for James, a lot of it's founded on the fact that James is great. Like, it's only the times when James has not won or not been in the top is genuinely because someone else was incredible, or because James forgot to bring a fan, which, it was a mistake, but in the world of mistakes is not the biggest. And
no, sorry, go on.
Oh no, yeah, and so I think that's kind of thing. Like, James is killing it, really. James is one I thought would do well, but like, I've been surprised by how much James has been killing it.
Oh, I totally agree. I'm always really excited to see what he's going to come out with every week. He's probably like the only queen. I mean, it was Apora initially in the beginning, but she sort of dropped the baton for me. But James consistently stayed the queen. I was always really excited to see the look of it every week, and all his looks have been so different as well. which I really respect. But what I was going to say is to tie it back to this episode is I wonder if he still feels the same way in terms of thinking he's above everyone else by the end of this episode. So that's something we need to talk about at the end because in regards to their looks and things. Okay, let's start at the beginning and go through point by point.
Sure.
So yeah, I know you like made notes and have a normal level of human memory, unlike me. So if you like want to interject to anything before we move on to like a next point, then obviously do so.
Will do.
Cool. So, okay, I started off by saying, okay, so yeah, let's talk about the Boulet's initial look. Do you remember it?
Yes. It was really strange because I was still cooking dinner while I was watching that. So I kept looking over and being like, what the fuck is happening? But it's kind of the best, like, you know, as you're casually stirring some tomato into your pasta, just kind of being like, oh, okay, they've got like a coffin shaped like thing. The lid opens, this like fairy red button that they press. I was just like, I was in love with whatever was happening. I'm sure there were lots of parts of the references that I was missing.
I think I feel like with me with these things, like initially I'm like, what the fuck is going on? What are they trying to accomplish? Like what is happening? I feel like I just become like immune to it as the episodes have gone on. It's just like I don't ever know what's going on, but I'm still here for it.
But I think the sci-fi one, I remember just like the alien-y kind of one. I remember just being like, this is incredible. Whatever they're doing right now, I just love it. Like it was so kind of, oh, and the workout video. Oh my God, how have we not mentioned the workout video? Where they not in this episode, where they like those little intros, and actually that's something that I feel was missing from season 1 is like they can really step it up now and have their own kind of identity behind it, a lot more of a kind of vision behind like, okay, this whole episode is going to be themed like this, and we want to completely throw in these references from like cheesy 70s and 80s sci-fi horror slasher whatever films and get away with it in a way that you don't really see much in other media. So I think that's incredible. Like the one this week I loved. I was confused by it, but I was happy with being confused.
Yeah. So what did you think of their actual looks?
Oh yeah, they were stunning. I was just like there've been a couple for me before where I'm not necessarily, I don't know, the like blacked out eyelid, not eyelid, the blacked out eyes kind of thing. I've sometimes been a bit like, I'm not the biggest fan of them. I don't know why. For some reason, it rankles with me. I don't know. But like this week, I was like, I'm here for it. I totally, do it all the time, please. This.
Yeah. To me, it seemed like, I mean, I suppose they're quite costumey generally, but it seemed like the most costumey looks they'd done, but in a really cool way, like the most, I suppose, intricate looks. Like, and it's like cool themes as well. So obviously the whole episode, this episode was Mad Max themed pretty much. But also, like, their first look was like quite Victorian, I felt.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, like it was just like an interesting combo that like I was really like watching them whenever I came onto the screen. I was like trying to like pick out bits of their look and sort of suss it out, and I liked that.
Yeah, no, it was stunning. I mean, obviously, they don't need me. They don't need me, person in a hoodie, to tell them that their style is stunning. But like they are, like they have every little iota of that planned. And also, it's interesting because Vanda is behind the scenes on this as well. So Vanda's been doing some of the work for the challenges and for their.
She actually has been though.
I don't know. I mean, at least Vanda's credited for a lot of it, but.
What is she? What, actual credits?
I think so.
I haven't really noticed. Interesting.
But not as Vanda, as Vanda's, I guess,
real
general
name.
Non-drag
name. That is some strong tea. Thank you, Bob.
There we go.
I feel like the nuclear explosions were too real though.
Yeah, it was kind of strange because like it was a mixture of looking really real and looking like someone had made it in like MS Paint as like part of their like GCSE art project, and I kind of loved that duality of it. I was like,
they're always a bit like that, aren't they? They're always like a bit cheap.
But that's what I love about it because like they've got. That's kind of what I was saying earlier. Like in the first season, if they'd done it, it would have just looked cheap and like they didn't know what they were doing. But in the second season, they can kind of get away with it because now they very much look like, hey, look, here's the stuff that shows that we have a budget, and here's the stuff that like we can actually like do now. Yeah.
No, I totally agree. I thought it was interesting. I mean, something I've chatted about to a couple of friends. I always think it's like I'm frustrated by the fact they show up like half done to every challenge, like half made up.
Yeah.
But this was the first challenge that I can remember that they become completely as dudes, right?
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I've always found it a bit strange because, especially like I don't know, in terms of the kind of rough and ready aspect of it, like in some ways that kind of adds to it. But I also do like the idea that they just kind of like casually walk down the street and like, oh hey everybody who I'm joining for this challenge. I just happened to walk down with my makeup done already. And I always thought it was kind
Yeah,
of
exactly.
interesting.
It's like, oh yeah, we'll tell you what the challenge is. Is this challenge? Everyone's like, oh, and it's like, well,
I love
you're
that.
doing that with like half a face of makeup already. Like, is
Right.
it really?
I had to play an alien. I didn't realize with this purple makeup all over myself and like
Exactly.
prosthetics that make me look slightly alien like. How
And
would
like
I have
slimy, yeah, exactly, or like slimy skin and like a pregnancy belly in the middle of the street, which was like the coolest look ever, by the way.
Yeah, that was great.
That was really good. So yeah, so what do you think? So this is the first time we've seen them like pure, like as pure dudes. Any like comments about any of them?
I think at one point when I was bored, I watched a video that had all of them out of drag anyway,
I've
and
seen
like
that
the
as
two
well
of
on
them
YouTube. I know what you're saying. I know the
yeah.
one.
But like equally, yeah, it was kind of interesting just because it was like it was kind of fun seeing a Bora without a nose, like the pointy beak nose thing. Because we've had quite a lot of that. Although I think it does work.
I was getting quite heavy Pandora Box vibes from it, like a younger Pandora
Yes,
Box, right?
yes. I'm really glad you said that because I felt that at one point. I was like, is that a weird comparison to make? But no, I'm super glad that you said that.
Yeah, I was just a bit caught off guard by it because I was not expecting that at all.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy Pandora box, but kind of less, well, like more insecure and like less camp, more kind of punk drunk thing. I
Yeah,
love it.
no, I agree. I thought it was interesting that because like James was criticized, especially at the beginning, about like being more of a beauty queen, like a fishy queen, as opposed to a horror ghoul.
Mhm.
I thought it was quite interesting that she looked like relatively punk in some ways, out of drag. So she had like the heavy eye makeup, I guess.
Mhm.
I don't know. I sort of didn't expect her to carry like the punk image into her boy persona, or maybe she was just doing it for the show. I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because you can totally see James's influences out of drag as well as in like there's that same kind of slightly androgynous, slightly kind of sexy cyborg kind of
Yeah,
image going on all the time. It's always this kind of creepy but sexy kind of androgyny all the time. But I think it kind of works for James
yeah, no, I
because
agree.
James is so
That's
kind of overtly sexual as well anyway that it kind of is his thing really.
Yeah, no, I agree. It sort of reminded me as well. So again, like I said, I'm watching All Stars 2 again,
Mhm.
and seeing I saw Detox's Android look, and it was really cool. I still think it's a great look. But then, like compared to, so for example, James's look from her cyborg look from the Alien Challenge, for example, like
Mhm.
that was like 50 times better than Detox's look.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I've been so impressed with the amount they brought on the challenges. Like so much so that I think the season 10 queens are gonna find like if I see like one or two looks and match the levels we've seen from this season of Dragula, I'll be impressed. You know.
Right. I think it's interesting with Dragula. I mean, because I just think like the level of creativity is just like mind blowing for so many of them. And it's
And
not
polish.
only, yeah. And it's not only, I think a lot of the time it's not only that they have these kind of fantastical ideas and kind of pursue them, but also just that they really explore every little thing they can do to add to that costume. So there are prosthetics, there are these weird props, and they all kind of merge in this really interesting way. So I think that's kind of an interesting side. I think the first season of Dragula, I remember watching it, and it was partly like I enjoyed it, and I was definitely rooting for Vanda the whole way, pretty much. But I think it kind of felt like more of a time filler. Whereas now I'm actually quite excited about watching every episode.
Exactly. Time fill is like the perfect way to sum up the first season for me.
Mhm. Yeah. It's kind of like it almost felt like a bit in between seasons of Drag Race kind of thing. I think
Yeah.
as well because it was really finding its feet. I mean, it was still great, and it surprised me
I just love
in many ways.
like this is. I just realized this is like a golden era. So we've got like a full season of Drag Race,
Mhm.
then Dragula, and then an All Star season of Drag Race. Like if that continues, then
Mhm.
I've got something to live for. That's another few years of not killing myself.
And
So.
well, please don't.
But
Season 10 is only around the corner as well.
that's
It's
what I mean. Like, and yeah, exactly. So it's been great, and we finished 9 like a few months ago. Then
yeah,
yeah,
we finished All
Dragula, and
Stars
then
2
yeah.
not long ago, really either.
No,
So yeah, we may get to a stage where we have two seasons of Drag Race, or at least two forms of it. So All Stars and a main season.
Plus, have you heard about the Drag Race top model crossover as well?
Oh yeah, I did hear about that. It's very yeah, interesting.
I know. Yeah, I mean, it looks good.
Yeah, I kind of just love that it's come full circle, given that it was. I love that it's kind of come full circle, that like RuPaul's Drag Race is so heavily based off that kind of America's Next Top Model format, and then it's now kind of come full circle where Next Top Model is kind of taking Drag Race kind of thing. It's just a very strange.
Yeah. I mean, I've never watched Top Model, so I can't really comment. But if they try and make it more serious, I don't know how that's really going to work out.
No, it's I've only watched one season, and it's a very I kind of love it and also hate it. It's kind of, I don't know, it's that kind of like pure wonderful trash where it's just like so little happens but so much happens. It's just kind of great. I love it.
Yeah, I might check out a season before it starts, and maybe to get into the vibe. So I can get a better idea of what to expect, I guess.
At one point, I got really into Asia's Next Top Model at one point because for no reason. Yeah, but what's really interesting is like, sorry, this is going really off topic, but what's really interesting is they're not all from the same country. So you've just got this really weird kind of thing where like people from certain countries kind of start to stick together and then like fight, and it's really great.
Cool. All right, maybe I'll check that one out then. Right. Okay. So next up, there's this like massive scene where the Boulets spend like an hour, like showing them walking up to the workroom for like an hour.
Yeah.
And then I feel like it's really just anticlimactic when they get there. It's just like, it's open, it's like, oh, hey, hey.
Right.
And everyone's like, oh, yeah, you're right. What's going on? And you sit down. But like, it's like this really big build up of all this like building music and stuff. And they just get there, just like, all right.
Great. Thanks, Boulets. That was great. No, it's always interesting with that. Like, I really love seeing how they build those things up, because it's so often, I don't know, so often it's kind of purposely subverting that kind of expectation. And sometimes it's just kind of, I don't know, I love it because it kind of loves how camp it is. And I find that really entertaining. Like, it just knows that it's got that kind of kitschy 80s vibe at times, and it really plays up to it.
Yeah, I don't know, but I do think sometimes, I completely agree. I think you get away with a lot because of that, but I still think there are times where it just doesn't really work.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was one of those times for me. Like, it just seems weird. Like, why would they not have done something like, at least like keep the door open, or like some sort of like vague statement? Right. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm expecting too much.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they used up the budget for that. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, in the actual filming, like the lead up to it, they used up all the budget for that.
Yeah, we're going to stab this door, but we can't afford to buy a new one.
Yeah, actually, good point. Fair. Well, it's like the last episode, so whatever. So this is a note I've written down, which is like, I suppose we can talk about the whole thing generally, but just when they were describing the festival, I'm like, that festival sounds fucking awesome. Yeah. And then obviously we saw quite a lot of what the festival's like through clips and stuff, and it does look amazing. I think it looks super cool. Like, I'd absolutely love to go, although I hate heat, so that'd be my like one thing. But what did you think of the festival itself?
It's one of those things where I feel like it's nice for other people, but I feel like I would actually just get crucified at it, like genuinely, because I feel like I'd be like, well, isn't this nice? Well, I'm gonna go over here now. Oh wait, no, okay, there are no rules here, and someone's stealing my property. I'm just gonna go. So
I think I'd like that, like give into like a tribal sort of like animalistic nature. Like, I don't think you'd go with like what is like a knapsack full of like trinkets, you know. I think you'd go just like painted, half naked, and just run around screaming for a while, and then just go to sleep or something. I don't know. Ride around those awesome looking cars.
Yeah, I think maybe it's what I need. Maybe that should be my de-stress. Of like, you know, it's kind of like the antidote to kind of workaholic, being a workaholic, isn't it? Really, it's kind of disappear over here. Don't do anything. Just like enjoy yourself. And I think that would like at first terrify me for a couple of days. I'd just be like, but what do I do?
Oh my God, we should, I say, but you have to just give into it. We should go next year. Everyone, we're starting to GoFundMe for me and Bob to go to the festival.
So I can have a nervous breakdown, but like you can have a great time. I'll just
live on YouTube.
I'll just sit in the court. Yeah, exactly. It's what everyone needs. Let's be honest.
All the views. I get all that money, which I'm definitely going to share with you. Right. So they're chatting in the workroom, and let's talk about like, again, I feel like with most of the episodes, there's been quite a fair amount of drama this season, but it's all been very similar drama, some of which we've talked about already. But do you think, like, is any notes you made about like what they were initially talking about in the workroom?
It was kind of strange. I, I couldn't quite tell because you had this weird thing between like their car conversations and then like their workroom conversations and then like the windy tent conversations and then like they were all kind of very strange. I didn't quite understand um much of what was really going on. Maybe it's just because I was focusing on my pasta at that point. I don't really know, but yeah.
How long you took way too long to cook that pasta? What sort of dish were you making?
Oh, it wasn't anything that special. It's just like tomatoes and vegetables. Your viewers obviously need to know this about my life. It was just like some
It just
tomatoes
seems
and
like a long
vegetables.
time to be cooking some pasta.
Well, yeah, I kind of got
Hashtag pasta
distracted.
week.
Well, of course. I mean, isn't that the hashtag that everyone's using right now?
Of course it is. All the kids. Sorry, that's a little bit of a tangent. I wrote down who said this? I can't remember. Oh, that was it. Oh, okay. So I thought it was interesting when the Boulets called out the queens one by one, and like they're like, "Oh, like James, that attitude's not going to get you any further." Blah blah blah. I thought the funniest thing was just like they said, "Bitch, do better," and just moved on. Like what?
Constructive, yeah.
Yeah, quite
I kind of
harsh.
love that because I couldn't quite tell if that was them kind of being like, "Hey, bitch, you're doing well. Just keep it up, push it a bit further," um, or whether that was really like, "Bitch, come on." Because
Yeah, I
bitch
feel
was,
like it was the latter.
yeah, because I mean, bitch was one who really surprised me
Yeah.
because I think maybe the first couple of episodes I kind of almost counted her out, or I just hadn't seen.
No, same. I totally discount. I think most people did.
Yeah, and then she killed it and
I mean,
deserves.
it's good. It's good editing. I think there was actual drama there, obviously, but I think it's
Yeah.
edited in a way to make her seem like the underdog.
It's true. I wonder. I feel like. I wonder if she's going to be kind of like a Melissa B. Fierce, not to compare people, but the kind of having that kind of arc, as it were, of like starting off kind of not quite getting the mold of Dragula and then just really running with it and being a top contender.
I just don't feel like she is a strong enough competitor to win at the moment. I mean, obviously we talk about final thoughts at the end of the episode,
Yeah.
but I mean, generally, I feel like she's been praised too highly by the Boulets. Like maybe they're trying to push the storyline too much. Like, I think she's good. I think all of what she's done pretty much has been good, but I don't think anything has been mind blowing. Like I'm not going to remember any of her looks. I don't think in 2 years' time or a year's time or 2 months' time, maybe.
That's a good point. I'm struggling now to remember some of them.
That's
I
what I
mean,
mean.
her slasher one in the woods was hilarious. Like that was great.
Yeah, but it was a pretty typical look. Like it's like a go-to of what you'd choose for a slasher. Like she was funny, she executed it well. Like the performance was good. The actual look itself was a bit basic, no?
Yeah, I agree. Because even with the wedding one, like up until that dust kind of flew off her, I was like, what is this? And then the dust flew off. I was like, it's a bit better. Like,
I guess maybe like her strength is performance. Like her looks have been good, but like none of her looks have been outstanding. But her performances have pretty much always been really good.
yeah.
I'd say her characterization is strong, in my opinion. IMO. Yeah. Is there anything else you thought about the work? Yeah, but actually, let's do both the workroom chat and also the car chat.
The car chat was a weird one because it very much, for me, felt like it was almost like that scene at the end of a film where like everyone realizes that actually, it wasn't about the struggles they had on the way. Really, it was about the journey. It was it felt a little bit like that. It was just almost like too neatly wrapped for me. It was a bit like, okay, but you've literally just been like, I don't know. Maybe there's a lot obviously we've not seen, but it just felt really funny to me that they were just suddenly like, "Oh my god, follow your dreams." I was like, I mean, it also what they're saying is right, but it felt like such a weird kind of come down after that. Like I don't know. Do you know how like Meatball the year before, last season? I feel like I can't almost maybe she did say it. I don't remember if she did, but I almost can't imagine her saying that. I can imagine her just still at the end being like, I'm gonna fucking.
Well, she was. You remember the reunion? She still went in.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, as much as I normally root for the people who are a bit more like, come on, let's just get through this, let's just do it. I was a little bit like, I don't know, parts of it felt a little bit over egged to me.
Disingenuous.
Yeah, it was a little bit kind of like, oh my god, yeah, like follow you. I mean, and fair enough, they've been through a lot of shit, like as we've heard from like little snippets of things they've said, and like obviously being that style of drag, as well as being a drag queen, as well as being gay, like it's not easy. And So they've been through a lot, but it just seemed really funny. Like it was almost too neat for me after everything that had happened.
Well, you say that, but then, like, say for example, I mean, there's a couple of things. Like one of the notes I made, for example, was Apora seemed really confident to me in what she was saying in the workroom and the car initially, but then, like, she changed what she was saying. It's like in her like confessional to the camera, she's like, I don't feel like I'm connected to the other girls at all, despite saying a second ago in the car that she was. And then there's a part where the other girls were asleep, which obviously weren't really. And then Apora was like, right, you're shit, you're pretty good. Like, I still think you're shit. Like, it was just a bit like, you just said you love each other. Like, what is going on? What are you all doing?
And I love that. I mean, I don't know how deep they are as sleepers. I mean, obviously, I know it must be a bit faked anyway. But I mean, if someone in it, like while I was sleeping was saying my name, I probably would wake up. So if they were like, "Yeah, bitch is not going to win," I wake up and be like
Exactly.
And so I just find it really funny that they're all like apparently completely conked out and not reacting.
That's something. There's no way. I think like they're just in that state where like you're really tired and cozy, and you just like you can hear what's going on around you, but you can't be asked to interact. I think it was like that, and the must like even if they look like they're asleep, you still shouldn't like bitch about them in front of them when you just said like nice things. I don't know, like it was just a bit classic Apora, I guess. But I know you mean like everything sort of contradicted itself. I felt like between the different discussions. And it's weird, like the super deep car chat as well. Like, oh yeah, let's end world hunger.
It was a little bit. It almost went into like Band-Aid or like Live Aid, didn't it? It was kind of like I was expecting like one of them to tear off a mask and it to be Bob Geldof, which genuinely would be a terrifying look. Like that.
Genuinely,
that would like talk about aliens from another fucking planet. But I feel like that was the like. It was just very strange because it just kind of I think that's what was strange about it for me, is that it felt very sincere very quickly, and it just kind of came almost out of nowhere for me. I mean, there must have been some preamble to that, but I feel like we didn't necessarily see it as an audience. So
I think maybe it's led by the producers. There's been a few discussions very similar. I felt like earlier on in the season, as the season sort of continued, actually, where I think they're trying to build the significance of the show and its place in culture to the viewer and the public or whatever. And I think that's smart. I think it's good of them to do that. I think that sort of thing does work. But I think maybe it's led by the producers. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
But also I wrote another note I wrote was like James, I was gonna say is a master, but not really. It's not exactly subtle of like the backhanded compliments. So he always like, especially with like the whole way through, he's always like, okay, Apora, you're like a long list of why she's so shit. And then he'd be like, but you've come a long way and you're all right now, but you're actually still shit. But I love you. Right?
Yeah. What was with that? That whole kind of like, I still think you're annoying. I still think your makeup is terrible, but you're great. And it's like, well,
but then she finished off that? Like, yeah, I don't know. It's like, how are you supposed to, you're a teacher, right? So I suppose you're supposed to give like a compliment sandwich, right? But like compliment and then an insult and then a compliment. I feel like James is like insult, compliment, insult, compliment, insult, insult.
Right. Like, and even those compliments are very much like based on the fact that James is better than you. Like they're like, oh, your makeup is almost as good as mine, and that's about as close as you'll get as a compliment. Like, I think you're sickening. I think you're going to come second.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's what I find really strange, because like, as much as I think, I don't know, with Vander last year, I was like full on rooting for Vander the whole way through. I wanted Vander to win. Everything Vander did, I was just like, whereas it's interesting, like, I don't know if I'm just being old and bitter, but I don't know if like with the Queens this year, there isn't necessarily one who I'm like 100% behind. There are ones who I'm just like I feel like James will do very well, perhaps win, and I'm okay with that, but I'm not like rooting for James to win. I just accept that James is a very valid winner.
Interesting. So I've always felt the whole way through, even when she's been lacking, that Apora is going to win. Again, maybe it's a narrative she's given, or maybe it's the strength of some of her looks. I don't know. I just feel like the Boulets overall connected her most, although obviously the controversial last episode was super interesting. I feel like we should save that if people want us to go through every episode and talk about it, because that deserves like a whole like hour long discussion pretty much. But yeah, this is the point where I wrote down, oh my god, James, shut up about Apora already. That was actually in the car. I wrote that down. I wasn't in the car, like driving around outside my flat, looking and watching the show. When they were in the car,
whatever floats your boat.
Yeah, exactly. I level a challenge to it. I do my own challenges every week, and I always lose.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you. So, right. Oh, okay. So next thing I wrote. So now we're on to like the discussion in the tent. Is I wrote that like Bitch was really, and I feel like she has been like genuinely really sweet at certain points during the competition. Actually, quite a lot. So again, like after James went in on a pour again. Shortly afterwards, Bitch just said something really sweet to her. I can't remember what it was exactly, but I just felt that was really nice.
I think.
Do you remember?
I can't remember what it was, but I know what you mean. Like, I feel like Bitch has been kind of underrated for that. Like, actually, weirdly not living up to her name, in the sense that, like,
you're right. She's been the opposite. She was really like,
yeah,
she took everything in her stride the first episode, despite how horrible everyone was to her, and she's never really come for anyone that hard. And she's been really sweet a few times, especially when people like. I really respect when people can pick up when someone's struggling, and then lift them up in that moment. I think she said something like, "I'm really glad we're friends and you're here," or something like that, something along those sort of lines. It was just something sweet that I think Apora needed to hear in that moment.
Yeah, and I think that's the kind of thing, because I feel like actually, like with Zastarina last week, God rest her soul. I
feel like you'd really like Disasterina.
I loved her.
I knew you'd love her. I knew you'd love her.
Yeah, that's the thing. I knew that I'd love her. Like, but no, she's great. But what I found really funny is like there was all this like drama, and she's like, you know what? Put your makeup on, get dressed, do the show.
Is that what you say to school?
That's what I always do. Obviously my motto for life. As you can see, I am fully made up. Always. I never leave the house without any.
I
never leave the house. No. So no, but that was what I found really really interesting about Bitch, because I think this week that's exactly what she did. She was kind of like, oh God, all this stuff. Do it. Like, put your head down, keep your head down, do it. And like people talking, she's like, yeah, Bora, you're a bit like this. Goes back to painting herself. It's kind of
thing. No, I completely agree. I feel like ironically she's in the front. I feel like she takes a back seat in a lot of the conversations. I think that plays well in her favor.
I think that's why she's in the front, because like it would be so easy for her to absolutely exhaust herself. And actually, wasn't it like week 2 or week 3? It was really early on, where she just said like, I let these bitches get to me. And she was really upset at herself at letting that happen. And actually, she's practiced what she preached. Really, she's kind of been like, okay, I'm not going to let them do that. Oh, look, she's not, and it's the reason she's in the top.
It is interesting. Looking back again, I feel like we should talk about it when we go through the first episode. If that's what people want, let us know in the comments. But like, it's interesting how, especially Bitch. Now James didn't too much, but a few of the queens in the first episode came out with very different looks to how they've portrayed themselves throughout the rest of the season. So it's a strange one. But again, let's not go into that now. Is there anything else you had to say about like the tent chat or their like workroom stuff or whatever generally?
I mean, mostly just that the tent looked really unstable. It was just like, I was really worried that any moment it was going to rush off, because there was that moment where Israel came and picked them up, and you see this kind of like tent, like swinging like one of those like inflatable men that you get outside of like supermarkets. Is that thing in the UK? I don't know. Anyway, but like,
no, I've seen them in Germany though. I don't think I've seen one in the UK.
I don't think I've seen them. Saw them in Korea, but like these kind of like, it reminded me, it was kind of like almost Mr. Blobby, like it was this really like,
I feel like people have got it from your impression.
I like to think so. And if anyone out there wants to sponsor me to obviously be one of these, which is my lifelong goal, then please
we start a campaign.
Thank you. Everyone needs one.
Hashtag Floppy Bob.
I'm not sure if that's what I want my name associated with for the rest of my life.
That's a hashtag. Start trending, everyone, please. #1 worldwide.
Thanks. But anyway, but what I thought was, where was I going with that? The tent. No, that was the only thing. That the tent just looked really like unstable and just looked like it was going to topple at any moment. And I was kind of hoping it would, just to see their kind of reactions, because it would just be more because it would just be like James like clutching a wig, like running through the desert shrieking. It'd be incredible.
Well, on that note, actually, first of all, let me talk about the win. Like, my thought was, like, I thought the festival looks awesome. I'm like, oh fuck, it looks really hot. There's no way I can handle it. So I can't function above like 2 degrees. But then like when I saw the win, I'm like, oh my god, maybe it's got like a cool breeze. Like I'll be able to hack it. So that's sort of what I was thinking. But yeah, so that reminds me. So you talked about like Israel coming and stuff. That's a good segue, because like it made no sense to me. I wrote down like halfway through, like, are they going to do a challenge now? Like, why have they got them all the way out to this area when they're half done? Like, what's the point of that? Like, why did they do that then?
I didn't understand, because I thought maybe at first that was going to be like throwing them off their game, like, oh, actually you've got an hour less to prepare than you thought you did, for example, and then
Or even exactly. Well, yeah, like
still
this
do
is
the
it.
shoot.
Like, yeah. Like, got no time. This is a challenge right now. Go for it.
But no, instead it was like them getting into like some random person's like van and just like partying a bit, and I was like, okay, well, it's kind of like, it was almost like a spring break in Cancun or something. It was a bit like, it was really I kind of
Is
loved
that what
it.
you imagine spring break to be?
Yeah, as me as a
Okay.
Brit, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what, is that what people do? I don't know.
I feel like it is.
Any Americans watching, please clarify if that's really the case or not.
I feel like you're spot on.
Do you get in random people's trucks? Dial this number. Like, yeah,
Is it your number? Are you trying to get people?
it's my number, of course. You know, the floppy bob has tendrils everywhere. Apparently,
Exactly.
I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Anyway, I'm just gonna keep on drinking tea because that shuts me up.
Right, you're going to be highly requested, my friend. So then we got the reveal, the big Vanda reveal. What do you think?
I was really glad to see Vanda back. Vanda's looking great as always. Vanda,
what do you think of it? Look, dissect it for me.
Oh, well, it was weird. I mean, and I don't mean this as an insult to Vanda. I feel like it's a look I've seen of Vanda's before, and I don't know if it's just that I've seen a picture, like a post on Instagram or something, because I follow Vanda.
No, you know what it was? I noticed it instantly. It was really, really similar to her finale look, the one they showed the clip of, which I knew before. Even before I showed the clip, I thought it was similar.
Yeah, I mean, and that's not to discredit it at all, because it still was incredibly inventive.
I really liked it. I feel like that was by far her strongest look, and she was sort of like it was a bit of an evolution of that look in a way. Like, I think I preferred the original look, but it was like a spin-off. Like, you know, you get a game character, like a new skin for a game character. It's that sort of vibe, and I really liked that.
Yeah,
personally.
No, absolutely, and that's what I kind of loved, because it was kind of partly like, oh, that's Vanda. That's exactly like, it's 100% Vanda. It's what I love about Vanda. It was so beautifully performed. It had that kind of very
flowy,
very flowy, very glamorous, very airy look to it, but then also very brutal, very disturbing, creepy, very twisted.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, I think she's giving me like Desert Vanda realness, which I was here for.
Right. No, I loved it, and I was just glad to see Vanda back.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
I feel like Vanda's like a nice voice of reason as well. It's kind of a nice reminder, because Vanda like just put his head down, or Vanda put their head down for the whole season pretty much, and just got on with it and won deservedly. And I think it's kind of interesting to have Vanda back, because everyone's like, we're all friends now. And Vanda comes back and like, hey, remember how I won, without doing any of that like drama stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point. It was a good contradiction. You're right.
Yeah.
So I feel like we've just gone to the final looks now, no?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So James, what did you think?
I was really torn with it. I mean, overall, I definitely still liked it.
Sorry, can I just interject really quickly? I feel like people should know that you're just really nice generally, and that you don't go in on people, but I feel like you should also change that. So I feel like you could probably be harsher with your critique right now, but you're trying to put it in like a nice way.
I mean, I don't really, actually, interestingly, like one of my colleagues said this to me earlier. They're like, earlier today, they're like, do you know how to be like horrible and mean? And I was like, I don't know. You
need to try harder. Come on.
Oh, why? Anyway, but no, I in fairness, the kind of I mean, I've not seen Mad Max. I know of the visuals of it. Like, I get the kind of reference points, I think. But I mean, so I thought James's look was incredible, really striking, really powerful. But then also, it didn't do much for me personally. But I thought it was good. I couldn't necessarily fault it. It's just not something I was a fan of necessarily in the same way. But like, definitely still wouldn't be deserving of being in the bottom at all. Like, I still thought it was very well done.
I feel quite strongly about it. I mean, I don't disagree with you, but I suppose like I just have a stronger view on it, which is I've seen a new film. I haven't seen the original film. I actually saw it really recently, like a few weeks ago. And I just think it was like completely expected. It was completely what you'd expect from a Mad Max look. Like, she looked like someone straight out of the film. Whereas every look James has done so far has caught me off guard. Like, he's been like quite an interesting twist on the challenge. So, for example, even last week with the wedding challenge? Or yeah, it was. Like, she did a Mexican Day of the Dead theme wedding things. That was like something that is not a typical, like everyone else did like pretty much just like a wedding dress with a twist, slight twist. But like hers was a massive theme that was heavily incorporated the whole way through. Or the alien theme, it wasn't just alien, it was cyborg alien. And I love that so much. Like, I think like, what I do with my games designs, I've tried to mix themes together to make something that hasn't been done before. And that's what really disappointed me about her look this week, is like it didn't excite me in any way. I think it's well executed and polished, like her looks have always been. But I feel like for her personally, it's one of her weakest looks. I just felt it was a bit monotone and bland, which is typical of Mad Max. It was like, again, I didn't hate it. I think it was well executed and everything like that. But I just think for James, I was disappointed. Like I didn't like it for her.
I think you're right. I think that's maybe what I felt about it, because it was weird. It was kind of Mad Max and kind of Annie Lennox. It was kind of like, I kind of loved it, but parts of it. But then at the same time, I didn't come away from it mind blown. I just came away from it. Maybe that's a high expectation. I don't know, but I came away from being like,
she's given us that expectation, and if you're going to give us that expectation, you've got to stick by it.
Yeah, that's true. And I think what was kind of strange for me about it was I think I was expecting something a bit more horror from it. I mean, it's maybe not necessarily the challenge for big horror looks. I think it just felt a bit kind of, I mean, it was the glamour side of what the Boulet brothers are looking for, but it was kind of, I don't know.
But that's an interesting point, though. So she was talking about how she wanted to show a different side to her, like a harsher war side to her. Do you think she did it with her execution of the outfit and performance, etc.?
I still feel, I mean, there was still something running through it that was very much James, which is not a bad thing. But then, I don't know, I almost felt like it was too safe in that. Like, it felt like it was kind of, here is what the Mad Max character looks like, and I'm going to do that very well. But it's not necessarily, I don't know, it didn't take it to that next level. And when we get to Bitch, I'll talk about how much I adore that look. But like, but with James, I don't know, it didn't wow me. It didn't take me to that next level of like taking the theme and then twisting it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, I think, again, it really surprised me, because based on what everyone was saying about her at the beginning, about her doing standard beauty looks, she really hasn't. She has taken, like, all her looks are really, in terms of concept, are really complex and have a lot of elements to them that make them like make all her looks really evolved. Yeah, like I said, I feel like that was missing from her look this week. I feel like we're on the same, again, as I said near the beginning, I feel like you and I are on the same page with a lot of our opinions. Although maybe I'm probably just like a harsher version of you, to be honest.
Probably, let's be honest.
But what the children are here for, you know.
Classic harsh Grant.
Yes, I don't want that hashtag. Sexy Grant, I'll take that one.
I mean, you gave me Floppy Bob, so I mean, I feel like, come on.
Harsh Grant and Floppy Bob are like literally the worst TV show ever.
Yeah, that's like something from Nickelodeon. Yeah.
I think it suits you. So right, next up was Victoria. What do you think?
Victoria was actually like, I almost forgot it, but at the same time, when I did kind of go back and rewatch that bit, because I think, in fairness, I think I was just distracted by pasta. And then when I went back and
still pasta. You should not be allowed to eat pasta.
There was a lot of pasta going on. But like, I think when I rewatched that, I did think it was really strong. But I mean, yeah, I think, I don't know. For me, it took it to a slightly more interesting place for me than James's did, but it still didn't push it to where I wanted it.
Okay, I would disagree. Interesting. You had a harsher view than I had on it. I do agree with you though. But for me, I know it seems stupid, but I feel like the yellow accents really sort of did push it to the next level for me. Not as far as I would have liked, for sure. I agree with that. But I was happy with it. Like, I think it was cool and interesting. Again, like, I guess similar to what I said about the Boulets look at the beginning. Like, sorry, anyone's just tuning in now, I've got a cold. Like, I was, like, every time she came on screen, I was, like, studying her outfit, but just trying to piece it together in my head, because there are quite a lot of elements to it. Because, like, example, even just the yellow, like, accents, like in her boots, in her hair, in her makeup. Like, it was cool. It's a bit like a tie, like, I don't know what I'm thinking of exactly, but you know, like that thing on Rose with like yellow and black.
Yeah, it was very much like a danger sign kind of like thing. It was I did like that about it.
I think that was cool. And again, like, it was, again, very well executed, and it was quite different for her. And I like the way she integrated her natural hair into her Mohican mohawk.
That was cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I liked it a lot. I think she could have taken it further, especially Victoria has done some incredible looks. And again, I don't think it's one of her strongest. But in her case, which is maybe me being too harsh on James in retrospect, I think it's probably down to the challenge itself, because I think it is hard to give extreme looks with the challenge they were given. So in Victoria's case, I feel like she took it far enough for me in terms of the boundaries and restrictions of the actual challenge itself.
Yeah.
to the point where I was happy with it and I was impressed.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think I still liked it a lot. I just think, yeah, I don't know. I think, yeah, like you said, maybe it's the challenge itself. Maybe it was a challenge that for me, I just wasn't as keen. Oh no,
I agree.
I
I
am
agree
keen on it. But
completely.
yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah.
Completely. And again, like the Wild West one, which is the first season and this season, it seemed quite similar to this one in terms of, I guess, an environment. And like comparatively, the looks in the Wild West episodes were far more interesting to me.
I thought so. Yeah.
Right? Like,
I definitely.
like Abhorror's look was awesome. Victoria's look was
So
awesome with the burning fortune teller. Disasterina's
so
look with the
good.
babies on the dress. Like, it's so cool. Like, a lot more varied. Whereas it looks this time,
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I wonder if part of that was the fact that they needed to look kind of unified. Because are these? I don't know. Are these the same looks that they have for their band?
What do you mean? Sorry.
Because you know, the four.
Oh, but it's not a
Finalists,
band. I think what they're doing. Is there a band? Oh, yeah, there is a
because they're
band, isn't
performing,
there?
aren't they? So I was
Oh,
on.
I sort of assumed a photo shoot was a performance. I forgot, but they got to do an actual. Is it an actual
Yeah,
song as well?
something. It was some kind of performance. But I mean, I think because that's what I thought when they posed together at the end and you had the picture of all four. I thought like, okay, maybe this is
Oh, I
what's.
thought that was it. I thought the photo shoot was supposed to be cohesive and like a performance.
Okay, so maybe it's separate. Yeah,
But I could be wrong. I could be misremembering completely. I probably am, to be
I
honest.
probably am.
But I think from what they said, there's going to be a second look for the runway as well.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's good. But that's because that's originally what why I thought the looks kind of looked a bit samey to me. Well, not samey, but kind of they were all drew from very similar reference points, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but you know.
No, I suppose so. But then, like, you look at the band, the Kiss. I suppose it is similar to like the Kiss style band Bitch did. Yeah, I suppose so. And I think that's why it's more important to stand out even more, and why that made James fade more into the background. I'd say.
Yeah, I agree.
So, go on. Okay, you can definitely take the lead on this next one then. So, Bitch's look.
Oh, I loved this. I absolutely adored this. I was just like, I wanted to look at every single part of it. I think the thing that I found kind of strange about the first two was they were still draggy, but I kind of didn't get that harshness of extremes that I kind of wanted. I think it was, you know, they were all kind of like badass kind of survived years in the desert kind of characters. And I just loved that like Bitch took it to this level of like, what is that creature? Why is it going to haunt my dreams? But it's also got this like giant blonde wig kind of cascading over it that's so kind of like just it's wonderfully at odds almost with, and I loved that. I was so drawn in by it. I thought the detailing on the mask and the kind of goggles were brilliant, and I kind of didn't ever want them to come off because I almost thought like if they came off, the illusion would be ruined. And I kind of loved this almost like backstory that I had in my mind of this almost like faceless creature that was just kind of haunting.
Oh, that's cool. The coolest thing is when like a queen's look can inspire a backstory. Like a lot of the looks this season have done that for me. I think that's what I've loved so much. So just before I give my thoughts, though, Arja's commented saying at the end of the episode they showed clips of them performing the performance, which will happen next episode. Okay, cool. So I sort of missed that myself. So cheers for that. Also, I'm guessing you're not the real Arja.
I was just about to ask you if that was a real Arja. If so, great. If not, cool. Also great. But how
if it's real Arja, jump on and we'll interview you. Also, if it is, I'm really actually like this is just genuine. I'm really excited for Arja next season.
I think, yeah. On a side note, she was one who I was a bit like, oh, okay, didn't expect to see her in All Stars, but then also she's going to kill it, I think. So.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, she's like entertaining. She's fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not a real Arja. I didn't think it was, but hey, girl, hey. So yeah, my view of Bitch's look is I didn't resonate with me as strongly as it did with you, but I did like it. What I liked is it was very different for Bitch. Again, I feel like she has been one of the queens who has stuck heavily to the guidelines of the challenge, even like we talked about earlier. The wedding dress, for example, apart from the white powder and a few little touches, it was pretty standard, like was what you'd expect for that challenge.
Yeah.
Again, her performances always do help a lot because she's a great performer. But again, we didn't have the expectations we had for James in her case. So for me, I really liked that it was something so different for her. And I think, again, it's executed really well. But my main thing was, and this is maybe unfair, but I felt like it was too, like the gas mask and the goggles and everything like that was a bit of a cop-out, especially when it had so much time to do their makeup in the 10. Yeah. I feel like if I was another queen who spent all that time on their makeup and she just wore a gas mask, like, I don't know. I get like it was selling the fantasy, but to me, if she had taken it off at some point, and even if it's just like quite a simple makeup job, but I should take it off and there been something there, like something of interest there, that would have totally justified it for me. But maybe she might do next episode actually. So who's to say?
But no, I see that. Um, but then like with the swinging of the like the purple smoke thing on the chain over her head.
That was really cool. It's like a Catholic church, right? Like the incense
Yeah.
stuff.
And that's what I thought was kind of clever. Like it had this kind of like slightly religious thing, but it was also this heavy metal chain that was very like you'd beat someone up with it.
Mm.
But then also if because you know they showed you some of the stills of their actual photos. And because of that, like the sky in the background of her photo looks kind of purplish.
See, I wrote a note about this. I don't know if that's the case. I could be wrong, but I think like they might have taken her to like all the queens potentially to like a plain background or put one behind them, because I'm sure I don't remember if it actually pulls it on or not, but like the background was like pure white pretty much. I don't think they could have got that from just the smoke.
Yeah, maybe unless they were edited or whatever, like in kind of post production or something.
Yeah, maybe I
But
could be wrong. I don't think I meant to go back and look at it and pause it on that point. I don't know if I don't think I actually did.
yeah.
But no, that was cool. Again, like her performance, I expected her to have a strong performance, and she did. She sold the look well. I did like it. Again, James was the weakest for me, so I definitely thought Bitch's look was good. Okay, can I give my opinions on Abhorrers first?
Yes, go for it.
Okay, so I wrote down fuck Abhorrer. I wrote down fuck full stop Abhorrer full stop. Love it full stop a lot. Like I was just like loving it like every second. Because I was so impressed with her at the beginning of the competition. Then she really dropped the ball for me. Even last episode, I was on the side of the Boulay brother who wasn't really that keen. But like this look, like it's one of my favorite drag looks of all time. I just absolutely loved it. I think it was so polished as well for her.
Yeah.
I said my main note on it was that she's done something both different for her, because all her looks have been quite samey. Like they've been different enough for sure, but there's been a lot of similar themes. Whereas this look I felt was so different for her in a lot of ways. But also, it was really different. It was the most different look from the theme for me as well. It was the least like typical Mad Maxi look. Well, I just loved it, like a 10 from me easily. What did you think?
See, I think the first time I looked at it, I was a bit kind of but I know, but I very much grew to love it. The more I looked at it, the more I was finding little details that I really appreciated. I loved that you had this like this incredibly like searing orange kind of color, which kind of suited not only the background but also stood out from the background, and it kind of looked like there was this kind of bird, like she was kind of this phoenix like thing on the top of her, which I really
sorry.
Yeah,
sorry. I went to go pause it on like a clip of her, and then like you just started playing. Sorry about that.
No.
The Phoenix analogy was good.
Yeah, thank you. But that's what I thought was really interesting, because actually the more I looked at it, the more I was getting little details that I found really interesting. I still prefer Bitch's look, but Abora pleasantly surprised me, particularly because, like you said, from the early weeks, Dali and Abora were two of my favorites, and I thought they'd go all the way.
But did you think you used safe in Abora as well then?
Yeah, I remember right early on, I was just like, wow, Abora is offering the kind of thing that I really am drawn to. And then I do feel like she started to flag a bit in the middle of the season, but I'm glad she's still there. But yeah, that's the thing. I was just like that performance was really, it was still very her in a way that I thought was good. Like it felt very, it was like you said, it was a more polished.
Strong character.
Yeah.
Like unlike Max, say from Drag Race, like she can depart from it enough to make it interesting still.
Yeah.
You know? I know, I was super impressed. So I just got a question. So at a point when they're talking about doing the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse, also I was confused about that, because I guess they filmed the intro to the whole episode afterwards, because they talked about the 4 Horsemen at that point, and the Queen said they decided to do it themselves. So let's go through who the Horsemen were. So
Bora was Famine.
Yeah, Bora was Famine.
I can't remember the rest actually.
Who was War? James was War. So who was Victoria?
What does that leave? Pestilence?
Yeah. Who was Pestilence? That was Bitch, wasn't it?
Maybe. I can't remember.
Death. Victoria's Death. That was right. So Pestilence. Yeah. So in terms of that, did you get any of those themes from their looks? Because I don't know if I did.
No, unless that's going to come out in the actual performance more. I didn't get much of a sense of any of that from any of them.
I just said like James had a gun, I suppose.
Yeah, but like I feel like that the gun would have worked for the Mad Max kind of style thing anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I agree. I feel like I was played up quite a lot, and then they didn't really live up to that. I don't think.
No, no, I didn't think it did, unless that's to come later.
Yeah,
But
potentially,
yeah.
potentially. I had one more note about Apura's look, which is I sort of felt like had a bit of an anime twist. I think it was the hair,
Mm.
and then I was sort of thinking like this is what Erica should have been. Like she stuck way too close. Like you watch anime, right? Well, not like religiously, but you watch
Some,
some
yeah.
anime. So like I feel like I mean obviously anime, the genres of anime are so vast, and the art styles and the character designs are so vast.
Yeah.
Hashtag always the same blue sky, available on Steam. But like I feel like Erica always stuck to like the exact same silhouette and character for all of them. Like it wasn't just like an anime, like whereas Apora was like an anime take on Mad Max to an extent,
Yeah.
which I thought was epic. I thought that was so cool. But whereas Erica was always like the same character but slightly changing it to fit the theme.
Right. And
So
I think that's a really good point, because that's exactly what I really was rooting for Erica, and it became harder and harder for me to root for her because there were so many missed opportunities. Like she's
yeah,
incredible. Like her skills are, she's out there, and she has got some crazy skills. But at the same time, I was like, oh come on, like you kind of got this like what was the theme? There's like the one about the one about aliens and stuff. Like you could go so far with that. Like how is this? How are you still kind of doing like a Sailor Moon robot?
yeah,
Just
exactly. Yeah, it made no
brilliant.
sense. I know.
Yeah.
Again, I think I wanted to love her. I did love her initially, like the first episode. I think, ironically, opposite to what I was saying earlier about the Queens doing like a lot blander looks to what I did for the rest of the season. I think Erica's look for her entrance look was the most interesting look she did all season.
Mhm. I agree, and I think that's what was kind of odd, because she set such a good bar with like some of the early looks, and then I was like, oh, we're seeing that kind of again, in a way, and it would have been interesting because I'd have loved to have seen her still in the competition and really pushing the look a bit more, like her doing like some kind of Mad Max thing could have been really interesting
But then that's
if
what I mean. No,
she had
I
taken it.
agree. Sorry.
Oh no, yeah, sorry, only if though she'd taken it to the next step.
But I don't think she's at the point where she was able to do that yet. If they did an All Stars for Dragula, which I really hope they do at some point, I'd love to see her come back for sure.
That would be
Having
good.
some time to grow.
Yeah, and I mean, again, I hate comparing queens like this, but I feel like she was very much like the kind of Loris, where there's that kind of the reference points are really out there,
Ooh.
and they're from very well in a slightly different
I
way.
love Loris. I think Loris was a lot better, to be honest.
Okay, but I mean, the thing I found really interesting for both of them, for me, was just that they both had these reference points that were very far outside of what other people were doing, which often meant they kind of got misunderstood. Like Loris's kind of bunny rabbit zombie
I love that so
thing.
much.
I loved that.
They
I
come for
adored
that.
it. Um, I thought that's incredible. But that was
Mm.
the thing. I kind of wanted both of them actually, but especially Erica this time, to really just be like, okay, so you're having a problem understanding the kind of signal that I'm giving off. So I want to like really crystallize it into like, this is the thing that I'm doing, or like I'm going to mix it
Yeah.
up and twist it in a way that you didn't expect, like Bitch is doing. And that would be far more interesting and would probably actually get her the
Yeah,
wins that
no,
she
I
deserves.
totally agree. I totally agree. Yeah, Aja is agreeing us about Erica being an all-star. She's throwing Dali into the mix, but now I'm also definitely throwing Loris in as well. But even that already is an amazing cast for all-stars.
I would love that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That'd be so good. And you'd probably have
You,
Meatball in there, which would be a really odd, interesting twist. Or Frankie.
yeah, but she was such a nightmare in that reunion. It sort of made me hate her a little bit.
I know. I always find it quite hard to root for Meatball, even when I thought Meatball was doing really well. Anyway, side
No,
note. But
sorry, because I have this cold. My throat is like dying quite rapidly at this point. What are your final? I mean, okay. First off, let's say that. I mean, when we set up the live stream, I didn't know that it'd be a 2-part episode. I mean, I think that's probably more interesting because there's stuff to talk about in between now, I guess. But what do you think about like the episode overall and like the fact that it's going to be it's a 2-parter, and are you excited for what's coming next and all that sort of jazz?
yeah, I was a little bit confused that it was a 2-parter, because I will also, just even time-wise, surely that means the next one will be like December 19th or something.
Oh, good
Or
point. I didn't think of that.
and then, which would mean that the final would be the 26th, like, or 27th, like Boxing Day for, I don't know.
No, they
It's
won't do
tricky.
that. I bet they'll do like New Year or something.
Maybe. But what I thought was, yeah, I thought it was a bit interesting because I hadn't really noticed the time going with the episode. So when they ended, I was like, oh, we're done. But I did think that it's going to be interesting because actually it would have been far too much to squeeze into a 50-minute episode or something. So I'm glad they made it presumably 240s.
Yeah, I agree with that. Although I think there's a lot of filler this episode. So, for example, the bit where the Boulets walking up the stairs, all the clips from the festival. I thought there were a lot of clips from the festival, like 10 minutes of clips, I'd say. And like all the chat that was repeated as well. I kept having the same conversations, but in 3 different locations. So,
yeah. I wonder if they were sponsored by the festival.
Sorry?
I was wondering if they were sponsored by the festival in a kind of like, I was expecting one of the Boulet brothers to come out and be like, ooh, I love me some Squarespace.
I love me some festival.
Well, they did mention it a couple of times. They're like, this is an incredible festival. And the
Queen's it does look incredible though. Yeah.
But,
Aisha, wait, sorry. Aisha, why are you saying the episode's going to be released tomorrow, please? I'm curious. Yeah, it would be. I don't know, unless you've heard somewhere on Twitter or something. But yeah, so sorry. So, what are your final thoughts of like, the theme, the episode, and all that?
So overall, I thought it was a good, solid episode. I mean, it's not like one of my favorites from the whole season, but that's hard because the alien one was really up there for me, and I would have found that difficult to top anyway. So, but no, I thought it was really great. It's a top 4 that I think is right. I would have loved Dali to have been there, but Dali didn't.
She had a chance, I feel.
Yeah, but I mean, Dali's going to do well from the show, and
I feel like Monica had a lot more to give as well. Like looks I've seen of her off the show, I think she could have done a lot more.
Okay. That's the thing. I've not really seen anything that she's done off. I mean, the only thing I heard. Her name right? Moniki. Yeah, I think so. The only thing I'd heard was that she's super racist, but like,
is she?
Yeah, to Soju.
Oh really?
Yeah,
she might be in season 10, right?
Oh really?
I think so. Well, it's a rumor. It's a rumor.
Okay. But yeah. Anyway, so no, solid overall. Oh, one thing I completely forgot to mention with the little intros. I loved that the whole opening sequence with the Boulets was like this really like kind of fairly artistic and kind of really intricate thing. And they just had that moment where they were doing like really they spoke and they had these like really weirdly like robotic voices and like I love that as like a little break in that thing because it almost shouldn't have worked and it didn't in some ways, but it does. It's that kind of like camp 80s.
For it, don't you?
What was that, sorry?
It's been right headspace for it, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like it's just like that 80s camp vibe that I just adore, of like making a film and then purposely like adding little bits that don't quite work.
Yeah. That reminds me, sorry, we didn't talk about their second looks, did we?
What were the second looks?
In the desert. So like I think it was super cool. I really loved that. I loved the fact that they had like one horn each, like one curved horn each.
Oh, sorry, the Boulets. Sorry. Yeah. No, that was gorgeous. It was I thought it was really interesting because like it was painted to look like it was still makeup, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It didn't necessarily like blend and give like, but I thought again that was part of the aesthetic that was brilliant because it would like them being like, ooh, it's a skeleton would have been almost like too obvious. I love that they were like, it's a painted skeleton, check it out. Because it kind of gave that kind of those kind of tribal markings, that kind of feel to it. No, I loved it.
I think it's so cool. So I was just asking if we talked about Vanda's look already. We did. And I think our opinions are super interesting. So this video is going to go up on YouTube straight afterwards. So if you just scroll back through it, we do the episode in order. Apart from the beginning where we just ramble, we go through the episode in order so you can find out what you think then. Also subscribe if you haven't already. And also let us know in the comments down below if you continue the discussion in the comments down below after you've watched the rest of the video. We'll get back to you. But also all of us, remember, like all you guys, let us know whether you want us to go through and do discussions on the other episodes as well. I was going to say, we should do CUNTs still, shouldn't we? CUNTs. Yeah. So who would you give your charisma to?
Can we, so is this, just to double check the rules of this game, can people get multiple letters or is it just one for each?
No, one each.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to necessarily be the 4 queens.
Oh, okay.
So you give it to like Israel or like Boulets or Vanda.
Just give everything to Disasterina.
No, it has to have been in the episode at some point.
She was mentioned. No, okay. So charisma, I mean, who is that? I mean, charisma, I mean, probably has to be bitch just for the fact that charisma was actually nice.
Yeah, so I was thinking as well. I'd agree with that.
Although I kind of want to give uniqueness because I loved that look. I love. Okay,
Yes, to
okay, so
choose one.
okay, so bitch is gonna get my uniqueness just because I loved that look.
Okay, so who's getting your charisma?
I mean, Israel's chest, like
That was
it
charismatic.
smiled at me. It spoke to me.
Okay.
And so the nerve.
Wait, we go for one at a time. So I'll give my uniqueness. Also, Aja, you give your CUNTs as well. I give my uniqueness to Apora for the reasons I said earlier, in that I felt like the look was different for her and different for the challenge as well.
Yeah.
So now nerve, sorry.
No. Who would I give nerve to? Maybe Abora for just keep on just to keep going actually, because like she's basically had people like throwing like dumping bricks on her for the whole show, and she's she's there and she pulled out a look that was pretty daring in some ways. So I'm glad that she did because it's kind of high time that she really pushes that.
Yeah,
Like you said, I think the Boulets recognize how amazing she is.
Yeah, I agree. I think that look was like a really good way of her showing her confidence, which I think was super cool. So nerve. So I'm gonna give a different sort of nerve, like, oh girl, you got nerve, to James for obvious reasons. Again, all the reasons we've talked about already.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
shit, T. Okay, so who are you giving your T to? Your talent?
Who do I think? Disasterina. No. I mean, probably it has to go to James. That's the thing. I mean, partly because James is one of the only ones left by this point for me to give prizes to. But also, I mean, like, James is incredibly talented, and I do sometimes overlook it because James can wind me up. But like, James, I think, has the stuff to go all the way. So,
But it has to be like this episode in particular, though.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah.
I'm giving mine easily to the Boulet brothers. Their looks this week. Like flawless, beautiful, amazing. Here for it.
The dedication to those like random alien voices.
Yeah. Oh, okay. There you go. That's good. That's good. Cool. Right. So my throat is like really on the verge of being dead now. Do you want me to put your links to your social medias in the description?
I mean, all right. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Anything you want to plug or anything about your alternative lifestyle?
My crazy wild lifestyle. Send tea bags, and not of an adult nature. Literally, just.
That's really good. I'm gonna get that on the shirt.
Thank you. Literally just tea. That's great. Thanks. Cool.
Why are you asking for stuff? You're too soon to be asking for stuff. This is your first episode.
I like to get that out there soon. You know, like
send
it's
me
good
stuff
to start.
first, people.
Well, that's true.
I'll send you tea bags, Bob. Right, and I always forget to say like, comment, and subscribe, please, if you would. It would be very helpful. Oh, that's the other thing I wanted to say. Even though it's been a while since I last uploaded a video, I've been getting loads of subscriptions to this channel. So thanks for that. We're actually quite close to reaching 1,000 followers, which would be awesome. It means I can go to YouTube space in London and go to parties and things, have an excuse to leave my flat. So full to everyone you know to subscribe and keep the conversation going down below. Bob, your reply as well, won't you? We're both carrying a conversation in the comments.
Sure.
Cool. That's the enthusiasm we're looking for.
Thank you.
And yeah, so hopefully we're back for a similar sort of discussion next episode.
Indeed.
And I'm happy to go back and do previous episodes as well because I've really enjoyed this season. And also, if there's any other sort of videos you want me and any of my friends to do, we're doing. So yeah.
Don't make that too open a promise.
No, that's an open promise. Anything you guys want, we're guaranteed to do it. 100%. Right, okay, yeah, so we're going to go now. That's the end of the stream. Thanks for watching. I'm really bad with intros and outros, as everyone knows by now, so that's it. Okay? Bye.
Bye.